Welcome, welcome Rotarians and guests to the Rotary Club of Seattle, the fourth oldest and one of the world's largest Rotary clubs, where we embrace service above self and are connecting for good. Today is a business program focused on a local and international competitor in the air travel industry. We will meet the regional executive for the airline competing head-to-head against Seattle-based Alaska Airlines. So we are going to hear firsthand what Delta Airlines' plans are for Seattle and how it fits into their broader global strategy. We'll also appreciate Delta's sense of civic responsibility. The company's mission reads, "At Delta, we value diversity of cultures, backgrounds, and ideas, and we are a strong partner in the communities we serve." So indeed, we will also recognize how Delta walks their talk, as we've seen in a recent partnership with our Rotary Boys and Girls Club. However, before we take to the skies, Nancy Cahill will inspire us today, and Trish Bostrom will serenade us. Nancy?
Well, this is the official start of fall this week, and that was the impetus for my thoughts. We have trees shedding, and some of us are busy raking up leaves. Some recycle them, some use them for mulch. As I was working in my yard, I thought how we can, in our own lives, use this as a time to take some of the dead leaves from our branches and shed some of those aspects of our lives where we could learn how to love and care for others and make this world a better place. Please pray with me. Heavenly Father, through your grace for us, you demonstrate that we are to show love and kindness to others, not to decide if that person is deserving of it. That is what grace is all about. We are imperfect people, deeply loved and embraced by you, Lord, so we need to learn how to show grace to others. In chapter 6 of the Old Testament book of Numbers, you give us guidance, as you said to Moses, "Tell Aaron and his sons, this is how you are to bless the Israelites. Say to them the following: the Lord bless you and keep you. The Lord make his face to shine upon you and be gracious to you. The Lord turn his face toward you and give you peace." Amen.
Well, we're going to move on to the topic of travel. And today, Michael Troyer is going to introduce our main speaker. And I'd like to invite Michael to come up. Michael is the president and CEO at the Rainier Club. Michael is a 24-year Rotarian. He has served our club as the Vice President of Membership, and he currently is a trustee on our Seattle Rotary Service Foundation. So I'm grateful, Michael, for your decades of service to our club and for your help in arranging our program today. Michael.
Thank you, Kathy. Rotary's the best. It is my pleasure to introduce Mike Medeiros, Delta's Vice President of Seattle, charged with developing and achieving Delta's key strategic objectives for Seattle and the Pacific Northwest. I first met Mike at the Rainier Club just as he arrived in town for his new assignment to grow the Seattle market in the same manner that he had done in New York. This last August, Rotarians had the pleasure of hearing from Sea-Tac Airport's new managing director, Lance Lytle, explain his entrepreneurial approach to keep up with the growth that has come to Seattle as the nation's fastest growing airport. And Mike and Delta are big players in that result and have made a significant commitment to our community as a central hub for travel around the world. In fact, I was commenting to Mike, the commercial that shows Seattle in the center of the world and how close it is an amazing graphic. So like every great leader, Mike had his beginning in customer service, and he is here today to tell us how he is leading to deliver that service, the business opportunity that means for our area, and how we're greatly benefiting from that in our community. Please give a warm welcome to Mike Medeiros.
Good afternoon. How's everybody doing? It is really great to be here. Thanks for the warm welcome today. It's been a lot of fun getting reacquainted with a few folks that I know, a lot of friendly faces in the crowd today, and You know, the other thing that has been really nice is being able to be in one room and have so many people come up and say, you know what, thanks for your contribution or your participation in this event or whatever event it might be across town. I didn't realize that I'd have so many people here in one gathering where Delta has had an opportunity to do something special, and it was pretty cool. It was a nice warm welcome for me, so thank you guys very much for that. And it was neat to see a couple of friendly faces in the room that I've met recently. One is Hamilton, this guy down here. I met him not long ago out on the golf course, and I'll tell you, if you need a ringer for your tournament foursome, he's your guy, so you know, choose him for your foursome. I had an opportunity to build a playground not long ago. You guys are probably pretty familiar with that, but a gal by the name of Simone, she in here somewhere? I think I saw her. There she is back there. I think she missed her calling. You put a hammer in her hand. She does really, really well. And by the way, she cleans up really well, too. But it's really great. She told me that, the same thing to me just a few minutes ago, so I stole her line. But it is really great to be here. And, you know, I think that I've spoken to a number of Rotaries over the years. Primarily, I've been involved in Rotary with my dad's chapter back in, when I say involved, I haven't been a member, shame on me, but I've gone to my dad's chapter in Kitty Hawk, North Carolina, so out on the Outer Banks of North Carolina, out where the Wright brothers first flew, and that's where my parents still are, and that's where I spent most of my childhood. And I was destined to be an airline guy, right? That Rotary chapter is much different than this one. There's about 20 people in the room, you know, in those Rotary meetings. So this is a little intimidating. But you know, the one thing that amazes me anytime I'm in front of Rotary or involved with Rotary is just how amazing the quality of people are and the type of work that you all are doing, whether it's here in Seattle or anywhere across the globe. It's really quite incredible. And I just wanted to take the opportunity right from the start to thank you for everything that you do to help make this a better Seattle and really a better world in which we live. So thank you guys. As I began to think about my comments today, and I'm going to be very brief because I want to get to the Q&A. Those are the fun opportunities here when we're together. I'll talk a little bit about Delta, maybe just a brief snapshot of myself. But as I was thinking about Rotary, and I was thinking about really the ideals of Rotary, it really kind of syncs up really nicely with Delta. The ideals of friendship, fellowship, and service. Rotarians live by every day, and we have this thing called the rules of the road that we live by. The rules of the road are kind of our guiding principles at Delta, as a Delta leader, really a Delta employee that we will live by every day. And one of those things that we believe in and hold ourselves accountable to is that we will always give back to those communities where we live and where we work. And so I think it's just really a great connection between the Rotary Seattle 4 and Delta. Whether it be the Boys and Girls Club of King County, where we go and build a great playground. And by the way, some of the landscaping just got done this past week, right? So it's looking even better than it did when we completed the playground portion. Or whether it's the Millionaire Club, right? Which we've done great work for in 2 years in a row, and we're going to continue to do great work. Or whether it's Northwest Harvest or any number of other organizations, the Arts Fund, right? We are going to continue to have that sort of commitment here in Seattle because that's who we are. That is who Delta is, and that's the expectation that Delta has of all of us as leaders. And so I want you to know that you have our commitment to continue to do that. And because we sync up so nicely, I'm going to challenge all of you and challenge myself to say, look, you know what? Let's find more opportunities to do things together, just like we did with the Boys and Girls Club and that great playground that's out there. So I've got a challenge on my plate, and I hope you'll accept the challenge as well. Incidentally, here are a few other local Puget Sound region organizations, just a snapshot of the over 120 organizations that we're supporting here locally. And so just proud of that, but know that the list is a lot longer, and we didn't have time to really go through them all. So just a little bit about me. 28 years ago, I started with Delta, Outer Banks of North Carolina, like I mentioned, Kitty Hawk, destined to be an airline guy. I went to NC State. I started on the ramp loading bags. So I'm a ramp guy, and I've come up through the organization 10 moves later, I'm now in Seattle. I couldn't be more thrilled with where I am. I've got the privilege of leading over 3,200 employees here in the region. Can you believe we've gotten that big? 3,200 employees in this region, and those are great jobs. Let me tell you, those are pilots, flight attendants, mechanics. These are well-paid, well-benefited jobs, but I represent them today, and I hope that I do a good job of representing them well. So shifting gears just a little bit, it might be helpful to talk a little bit about our background at Delta and here in Seattle, because I think it'll help connect the dots. Believe it or not, Delta has been serving the Seattle region since 1933, and we started on this thing. It was that's called a Hamilton H-47, 7-passenger airplane. Can you imagine flying on that thing in the middle of the winter? But that's what we did. It started in Spokane, it came to Seattle, and then it went on to Wenatchee, and then, Spokane, I guess it was. And I just want you to know that we're done with prop airplanes. We don't have any propeller airplanes. We haven't had propeller airplanes for a lot of years. Our customers tell us they prefer jets, and so you won't ever expect to get on a propeller airplane at Delta. Of course, talking about airplanes, we fly Boeing. We are the second largest operator of Boeing airplanes on the planet. So we have some of the largest aircraft, 747 all the way down to their smallest 717. But we fly almost 700 Boeing airplanes a day. And we only trail Southwest Airlines. Southwest has a few more than us, but they fly all 737s, so they don't have that diversity in fleet type. But 700 aircraft a day, can you imagine that? And we have 7 aircraft types where we're the largest operator in the world. So I hope that tells a story for you about our commitment to Boeing, and that despite what maybe some would say in the local media or those bloggers out there, we really are a Delta Boeing company, and we will continue to be such. It's a strong partnership. We've got over 120 737-900s that are being built right here in town, and those are continuing to be delivered to us. So really, really proud of that. But it's not just Boeing. It's other local companies as well, including Microsoft and Starbucks and, a lot of smaller ones as well. And those smaller ones are just as important as the big ones. Those smaller companies, many of them are food and beverage that we put on our aircraft or in the sky clubs. So we'll continue to make sure that they're an important part of what we are doing here in Seattle. So I want you to know we've got Delta commitment to big brands and small brands right here. So a little bit about our history. Back in 1947, we actually put the word international in the name of Sea-Tac International Airport. And we did that by starting the first Seattle to Tokyo flight. That was via the Northwest aircraft and the Northwest brand, but with our acquisition now, I guess we can claim that we did that. But it was back in 1947, and it was via the Great Circle route, if you remember that. And so now we have international airport that is just tremendously, or a lot bigger than it is, that it ever has been, and it's going to continue to get a lot bigger for years and years to come. Globally, Delta serves about 180 million passengers each year. This year, we were named to Fortune's top 50 most admired companies, in addition to being named the most admired airline for the 5th consecutive year. And we have been ranked the #1 business travel news airline 5 years in a row, and we're going for 6. We're right in the middle of that survey now. That BTN survey is really, really important. These are travel professionals who are responsible for the corporate travel within their companies. So you take like a Microsoft or a Boeing or a Starbucks or any other company based anywhere, and you have the travel professional that manages all that travel for their corporation. And these are the people that know the good and the bad of all the airlines, and they are the ones that are rating the airlines. And this is the award that we really covet, and we're really proud to have won it 5 years in a row. 337 destinations, 62 countries on 6 continents. So pretty big size globally, but let's bring it down to Seattle. Let's bring it kind of home a little bit closer to home and give you a picture of what we're all about here. This slide will give you an idea of what we looked like back in 2013. That was when we made the announcement that Seattle would be the newest hub for Delta Airlines, with a focus on the Asia-Pacific region. So this represents about 31 flights a day, primarily to our other hubs. So you can see those represented: Minneapolis, Salt Lake, Atlanta, JFK. and it was a pretty small operation, pretty sleepy, if you will. But if you fast forward to today, the new map looks a little different, and it's 153 departures to 45 destinations, and now 9 long-haul international, trans-Pacific, trans-oceanic type flights. It's huge. It's gotten really big really fast. And remember, 31 flights, 15 destinations now to 153 flights, 45 destinations, 9 long-haul international flights. That doesn't include Canada and Mexico. We're a long way from done. We've got, I would say, probably, I don't know, 4, 5, 6 years before we'll consider ourselves to be at a kind of an end state, or at least where our strategy projects us to be at this point. Some of this is reliant on a new international arrivals facility, which I'll get to in just a minute, and I'll show you a picture of what that might look like. But the end state really has us operating out of about 30 gates out of Sea-Tac, and somewhere in the neighborhood of around 200 plus flights. So we've got just a little bit of ways to go. On the employee front, we now have, as I mentioned, a little over 3,200 employees. These are pilots, these are flight attendants, mechanics. These are all the airport people that are responsible for all the customer service. And, you know, I think the important thing to kind of point out here is that these are all Delta employees that are well paid and well benefited. We don't outsource the core work at Sea-Tac or any of our other major airports. These are Delta employees, and we're really proud of that. And quite frankly, that's why we get the results that we do. We operate one of the best performing airlines in the industry, and the DOT results will bear that out if you were to look at the data. That's not just a talking head giving you that stat. It's really DOT numbers that will tell you that. And as we continue to grow here, our workforce will as well. So that 3,200 number will continue to grow. But we can't succeed without a new and improved Sea-Tac. And this is a picture of what the new international arrivals facility will look like. It's still, we have not broken ground yet. We will do that by the end of the year. I'm hopeful. Hopefully Lance told you that a couple weeks ago. But this will really unlock the opportunity, not just for Delta to be able to continue to grow, but for other airlines to do the same. And that's going to be really, really important for Seattle as we continue to want to use this as an economic engine to benefit this great region that we all call home. So this is the next thing that will happen. It should be, again, break ground by the end of the year, and we should be in the new international arrivals facility by the end of 2019. It's about a $600 million project. Delta's growth has continued and will continue, as I mentioned, and we're continuing to invest. Scott, why don't we move on up to the Sky Club? The Sky Club, we've got a brand new one that will open up in October, so about October 20th. This is a Sky Club that will open up, and it's going to be our 3rd largest Sky Club on the Delta system, only behind JFK in Atlanta. So I point that out to really give you perspective about the importance that we put on Seattle and Sea-Tac. We wouldn't put one of our flagship Sky Clubs and invest this sort of money in a facility if Seattle weren't very, very important to us. So this will be Sky Club number 2. It opens up on October the 20th, and it's really important because it'll be able to serve now the customers that are flying out on the A and B concourses a lot better than what we can do today, which is the Sky Club out on the S-Cons course. We'll have a little additional check-in space out at the terminal, out of our ticket counter. So today we have a Sky Priority area that serves our premium customers, and then the main ticket counter. Tomorrow, or by really kind of February the 15th, we will have a new Sky Priority area that actually essentially bookends the entire ticket counter. So premium on each side, and that will open up first of the year. So let me just wrap up here because I got the, not the big hook, the little hook already. Boy, time flies when you're having fun. And get to our Q&A here. But just to kind of talk a little bit about our sponsorships, because this is an important way for us to bring the Delta brand to life in this region as well. And of course, I hope you know by now that Delta is the official carrier of the Seattle Seahawks and the Seattle Sounders. Big match tonight for the Sounders. Come on, let's go Sounders. And we just renewed both of those agreements, so we will be together for a long, long time to come. And I'm proud to be able to say that we were on board with the Seahawks before they won their first Super Bowl. So we saw it before everybody else, I think. Also, make sure you sign up for your 12 status on Seahawks.com. If you haven't seen that, that's an easy way for you to earn miles based upon how many yards Russell throws at home games throughout the year. So it's a really neat program, free miles. Just all you need is a Sky Miles account. But we're also big sponsors on a lot of other things. Those are the fun things. Those are kind of the fun sports things that, you know, they cost a few bucks, and you don't have to be in them, but it is fun to be. We're involved in the opera. We're involved in the symphony. We are involved in the arts fund. We are trying to really spread the wealth across not just sports, but across education and arts. And that's really, really important. And I have never lived in any other city where you didn't have, that was a great city, that was considered a great city, that didn't have strong arts and strong education. So we really believe that that should be an important focus for Delta, and it will continue to be. South Seattle College, I just might mention, we provide a number of scholarships for those kids every year, so they've got an opportunity to go move on in their life and to grow and become professionals in their field. So real quick, I hope all this adds up to tell you a story about Delta, and more specifically about what we're all about in Seattle. Number one, we saw a significant need in an underserved market that no other airline was able or willing to serve or to fill. Number two, we're committed to this region, and I hope you got a flavor for that. I had to go quick, but I got a flavor for that, and we're always going to give back to those communities where we live and where we serve. That's our commitment. You can count on it. And number three, important, and it is important, competition is good in any industry, and it has been good for Seattle. Overall fares are down 11% since we arrived here and made this a hub in 2013. That adds up to a lot of dollars when you talk about 45 million passengers traveling through Sea-Tac. So competition is good, and it makes us all better, and we genuinely appreciate your support and look forward to it in the future. Thank you very much.
Mike is going to take some questions, so our mic handlers Brad and Susie are on the floor, and Len has the first question.
Mike, I'd like to thank you for your work in getting the playground built out at the Boys and Girls Club. My question, though, is several months back, I don't know how many months ago it was, I'm retired now, so I don't keep track of months, but Delta announced a big major purchase of airplanes. It all went to Airbus. Why did Delta choose Airbus versus Boeing airplanes?
You bet. Great question. The order that you're talking about was a wide-body order. It was for about 35, 40 airplanes. So not a big order in the grand scheme of things, but an important one nonetheless. We put an RFP out to Boeing and to Airbus and said, this is what we're looking for and the size aircraft that we needed and that could do the stage length of distance that we needed. And it essentially came down to the A350 and the 787-9. At the end of the RFP process, the 787-9 was a lot more expensive. I won't go into dollars, but it was a lot more expensive. I can tell you that. Airplane to airplane. And I know we're in a Boeing town, and you know we're big Boeing supporters, but the A350 is a great airplane. Just going to call it what it is. It was a lot more expensive. We went to Boeing and said, we'll still take the 787-9 despite it costing us a lot more. And unfortunately, Boeing didn't have the delivery slots that could deliver according to our need, which was to start taking delivery in 2017, 2018, 2019. They had delivery slots that started a lot later than that, and we have retirements that are coming up 2017, 2018, 2019. And so it became really a moot point at that point. They couldn't shift any of their delivery schedule to meet our need. And so we were ready to bite the bullet to be the carrier that wanted to support Seattle, but we couldn't do it. Good question.
Question over here. Yes, hi, my name's Faith Ireland, and I was born in Seattle. So,
Hey, Faith.
Alaska has always been my airline of choice.
Yep.
But Kathy said something about the competition with Alaska Airlines.
I don't know what that's all about.
I want you to promise me that you are still going to remain a mileage partner of Alaska Airlines, because I ride Delta a lot.
Well, then why do you fly Alaska if you're riding Delta? No, I say that in fun. Hey, look, Alaska's a great airline, and you know what? If there's something that you'll always hear from me, and you've never heard from me, well, number one, you'll always hear respect for your competition, your competitor. You always will, and that's part of the rules of the road, by the way, in the book that we live by. Respect your competitor and be humble. So they're a good competitor. I can't always promise that we're going to have reciprocal agreements in the Sky Miles program. We do for now, and it does work well. But ultimately, I think that customers are going to need to make a choice, and it's going to be a choice between whether you want to be with a regional carrier that has some national exposure, or whether you really want to have a global carrier that provides that frequent flyer benefit that will get you really kind of anywhere. And so, I don't know how that's going to go. Sorry, Faith. I wish I could tell you more. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike.
Hi, Asunta. How are
Hi.
you?
So Faye just asked my question. But anyway, I have another question.
Okay.
So all these routes that Delta Airlines has been flying to Asia, actually China and Korea and Japan, they're also flying similar routes as Delta. And sometimes their prices are kind of lower than yours. Like the recent Salmon airline from China, they really have a very, very good deal in their inaugural flights. So how is Delta Airlines going to compete with the low pricing from China, for instance?
It's a fair question. The way we compete is to provide better service, quite honestly. That's what we need to do. You're right, their inaugural fares are crazy low, and it's because they need to build a brand. They need to develop a presence here. They need to get their brand in the Seattle area, which is brand new. I just started this week. So you're going to see fares that are very low, and quite honestly, they're going to lose money on that route for a long time, as long as they leave those fares in there. We are here for the long haul. We are committed to Seattle. We are the largest international carrier. We will continue to add flights to your benefit. And the best that I can say is it's our responsibility to go earn your trust and earn your business. And we do that through a great frequent flyer program. We'll do that through providing the best customer service, and I'm convinced our employees are the best in the business. We'll do it by providing the best product out there. Our onboard product is as good as it gets domestically, international. In the business class cabin, it is terrific, and we're working hard to shore it up in the coach cabin. But I can just tell you, we got to go earn it. And we'll do it with a competitive fare, but we won't give it away.
Right here. Hi, Mike. First of all, I just flew Delta to New York and back.
Thank you for your business.
Fabulous service, fabulous everything, so thank you for that.
Great.
Some of my Boeing colleagues talked to me about a controversy around something called the XM Bank that Alaska supports and Delta does not support.
Yep.
And I don't understand it. So could you talk about that a little bit?
I'd be glad to.
Thank you.
The XM Bank, it's not that we don't support the XM Bank, but there is one critical issue relative to the XM Bank that we have a problem with. And the reason that Alaska and other domestic carriers have a different view than us is because they're domestic carriers. They're not faced with global competition. I mean, that's really the central issue between us and the domestic carriers. But here's the issue. So you have, let's use Emirates or Qatar Airlines. These are government-owned airlines. These are departments within a government. That's really what it is. It's like the Department of Transportation within the United Arab Emirates that runs Emirates. Okay, let's just call it what it is. They have unlimited money. They don't have to worry about a P&L, a profit loss statement. And so Emirates probably has about 250 wide-body airplanes on order right now. That's number one, because they don't have to worry about money. So they're subsidized by the government. They have an enormous amount of capacity coming in that's competing with us, where we have to stand on our own 2 feet and go make a living and report to shareholders and board of directors. They don't have to do that. We don't believe that our government, the XM Bank, should shore up a loan guarantee for a company like Emirates or Qatar or Air India or other companies like that that are flying up against your carriers like Delta or American or United. We have to go head-to-head with these guys. And so when Emirates goes and buys a 777 from Boeing, they get their rate a lot cheaper, guaranteed rate, a lot cheaper than what Delta could if it were to go buy a 777, because the EXIM Bank shores up and backs that loan. We don't get that. Now, we're not asking for that, but we don't think it's fair. And so that's the core issue. And that's it. Where it goes, I don't know. But we're standing up for we're standing up for U.S. jobs. These are Delta employees that are impacted. And I can point to one example, Air India, who flew into JFK. It's a subsidized carrier. When I was in New York, we used to fly to Mumbai once a day on a 777. Air India threw in a lot of capacity on government-bought airplanes, and it trashed the market in terms of fares, and everybody went to Air India because you could fly for about half the price of what we put in the market. So we pulled out. We no longer fly to India. It's a classic example. It happened in Dubai as well.
Thank you, Mike. Let's show our thanks. Appreciate. We appreciate your remarks, but we also appreciate more. And Executive Director Patrick Carter from the Rotary Boys and Girls Club is here to say thank you in a special way. Patrick.
Mike, welcome to Seattle. We have a beautiful playground. Stand tall, my mother said. Okay. We have a beautiful playground at the Rotary Boys and Girls Club, and it's kind of one of our dreams becoming reality at that corner of 19th and East Spruce. Delta Airlines, this is from the kids at Rotary Boys and Girls Club. It's watercolors art.
That's great.
With photos of the playground in there. And also from the board, thank you note from them as well. So,
thank you, Patrick. Appreciate it.
Seattle. Welcome.
Researchers at Princeton and Stanford released a study recently of American political attitudes. And their shocking finding was that political prejudice is actually now more acute than other prejudices, more so than gender, racial, or ethnic prejudice. I, for one, am distressed when I observe the political acrimony that's on display almost every day at any level. So I, for one, was pleased to read the lead story in the Rotarian. And I have my prop with me today. It's the October issue. It should be in every Rotarian's mailbox. I don't know how many of you have read it, but the lead story, the title is Elect to be Civil. It's time to make politics less personal. I commend this article to you. It talks about ways to tone it down and to take it in and to be more constructive as we engage in political discourse. And I'd like to see us as Rotarians paving the way for a civil discourse on political issues in this very contentious campaign season. So I leave that for you to consider. We are adjourned until next week at 12:20.